Hello everyone, I'm Majestic Simmer and welcome back to part 4 of becoming a Simtuber. Today we are going to go over a tutorial on how to create thumbnails. So we're here in paint.net and this is a free program and this is a highly recommended program. It is free and it's very user friendly. But first we're going to open Adobe Photoshop Express. This is another program that I wanted you guys to download so that we could use it for our thumbnails. So you're going to hit Pictures Library and it's going to take me to my screenshots because that's what we are going to do. So we're going to look for our screenshot that we did for our 10-minute build series. So I have my pictures down here and I'm just going to pick whichever one I think looks best. I'm not really sure which one I want to pick at this point. I think we're going to do maybe just this one. It's a nice simple and you're going to open it. And you're going to have a couple different things over here. I found this program and I just adore it. It's free and you can just really zhuzh up your pictures. So you're going to go to corrections and you're going to be able to mess with the exposure and your contrast, and you really just mess around with it and see what you think works best. For color, you have all of these. Sometimes I'll do vibrance, sometimes I won't. It's just all up to you guys. It really is. It's your playground. So after you're done, you're going to hit save and then save again. And I save mine into an edits folder just because it's easy to keep it separate. And I'm going to save it and then you can X out of that. So paint.net, a lot of people might use this, a lot of people might not. I'm really not sure, but I found it because I was looking for a program that was free because Photoshop is just so expensive. And I know that a lot of people, including me, don't have $30 a month to spend on it. So you're going to look over here and you'll have your toolbars and we'll kind of go over all of these as we make our thumbnail. You have stuff up here to go over. So I'm going to file and I'm going to import my picture. It's going to be in our edits folder and we just have to find it, which it is probably right here. We're going to open. Then you can zoom out on it. Now I go back to my to here, and what I'll do is I will have an image that is already set for YouTube, and I'm pretty sure that that is 1280 by 720. So you're going to want to set that when you do start a new project. You'll go file, new, and you'll be able to set your width and your height to those two things. And I always have a template. So I'll go back to my image and I will Control C, which copies our image. And I'll click back on this one and I will Control V. And I'm going to keep the canvas the same size. Now from there, you're going to want to make sure that you're on the Move Selected Pixels key. And you're going to want to hold Shift so that our image doesn't go all wonky and disproportionate. And you're going to want to pull it just so it fits inside of our box. Okay, so the image is mostly inside of our box. From here, I like to do some other things. I'll show you guys how to put a frame on yours. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So if you see how this is all selected, you're going to want to do Control D, and that deselects our whole image. Now you're going to come over here to your shapes, and up here you can decide. Up here you can choose whichever you would like. Now I do have a plugin downloaded. It's called Bolt Baits, and I will link it below in the description. You're going to want to download that, and it will download itself when you click on it. There's a tutorial that I will try and link as well. And it's going to offer you a lot of different things that paint.net cannot offer. So one of those being a bunch of different shapes. So we're just going to stick with the rectangle for now. And you're just going to pull it and drag it. And now you don't have to be perfect. You're going to come over to your brush width and you can make it as big or as small as you want. From here, you can change the color, but I keep mine black. And you're going to do the same thing, but you don't have to hold on to the Shift key. You're just going to kind of level it out. Just like so, and there is your border. You can do a bunch of different shapes, but we're going to hit Control D again. We don't want to ever have anything selected when we move on to our next process. Now from here is our text. Now our text is a whole nother thing. You're going to hit our little layer button here, and that adds another layer. So layers are real cool because you can move things around and adjust them. They're not permanent. You can merge them down, but we do not want to do that because we want to still be able to move things around on our image. So if you pull this under, like, see, it disappears. So you always want to have your background and build up from there. So our text is going to be in effects, and you're going to go text formations, outlined gradient text. You can also use the text key, but I find this a lot more user-friendly. So we're going to type in, we're just going to mess with it, and this is just going to be me teaching you guys how to use it. This obviously is not perfect. I'm probably going to go back. So our 10-minute build challenge. Now for thumbnails, you want to make sure that your text is clear and visible and not crazy font. So we're just going to look through our font here, and I'm not going to pick anything crazy because you do want it to be visible to your audience. And that's where a lot of people do not get views, is when their text is not visible is when that happens. So that one's actually kind of cool. I'm just going to mess around with you can solid fill. We're going to solid fill that and get rid of our outline. Your outline's here and your size is here. Okay, so this isn't very visible on the black. So what I'm going to do is probably pull in this cream color maybe. I'm just going to hit OK. I'm going to come down here and use our little dropper color picker, and that's going to pick. You're going to have to make sure you click on the image. That's going to pick our cream color. And then we go back to our layers. So you're going to want to pull open your color palette down here, and you're going to see that there's going to be numbers. So you're going to have to go effects and back to our gradient text. And then you're going to make sure you have an outline on that. And you're going to type in your red. So our red is 220. And then our green is 198. And then our blue is 151. Yep, there you go. So cool. Okay, so as I'm looking at this, it's kind of blending in with the background. So I'm going to actually change this around. We're going to make that black, and we're going to do these ones down here. So you're just going to add in and kind of makes your color, it just switches it, which is definitely what we want. There we go. So you can do that. I'm not really liking it, so I'm just going to cancel that, and we're going to pick our red color. We're going to get the red that's in this rug. It's very different how it's popping up more. There we go. Okay, so from here, you're going to go back to your color formations. It's all about just playing around with it, figuring out what you like and what looks good. Usually I'll pick a color from my image, or I'll do a complementary color. So since there's a lot of red in this, we'll go across the color wheel to blue. So that's our next option if this doesn't look right. But I think that this will turn out just fine. So we look down at our colors. We have 138 and 46 and 17. Awesome. So that kind of gives you an idea, and you can pull your outline to be bigger. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I probably will change the thumbnail completely, but we don't have 20 hours to sit here. So you obviously can click and move it around. Hold shift so that you can slowly, so you don't lose the distortion, so you don't distort your image, and you just kind of figure out where it needs to go. So for me, I'll probably either put it up here or down here. I'm very unsure. What I am going to do is I'm going to change the background to white, just because it's not very fun for me. You're going to make sure that you don't have anything selected when you do add anything new. And so the black, we're just going to go white. See how much better that looks already? It's just so nice. And if I don't like the text, I can just go back up and find a new one. I'm just gonna like use that one. I think it's different and unique. It's still readable. So if you put that one wherever you like, I wouldn't clutter your thumbnail too much. I'd probably leave it at that. Now what I like to do with these is I like to give them some dimension. So I'm gonna duplicate my image, and that is going to be duplicate, and then we're gonna go up here to adjustments, brightness and contrast, and you are gonna make this dark if you can do so. That's completely white. We don't want that. So completely dark, and if it doesn't get dark enough, I will go over to our dump tool and I'll just make it so it's dark enough. You probably could do that to begin with, but I didn't. So you're gonna pull it underneath your layer. Do you see how it has that kind of an outline? You're gonna go up to adjust your effects and blurs, and you're gonna go to Gaussian blur. Now Gaussian blur is one that I can't pronounce, but it's one that I use a lot. And you're gonna wanna change this to 13, and that's just a base number, and you're gonna hit OK. Do you see how it's softened it around the edges? Now you're gonna duplicate this as much as you want to kind of give it that like background, whatever it's called. So see how nice that looks? And you're gonna wanna, if you're working a lot with, if you're adding a lot more text and like effects to this page, what you're gonna wanna do is merge these. So we're just gonna merge layer down, and now this image is all by itself. Voila. So from here, we are going to add maybe a clock down in the corner. So we're going to create a new image, and let's just go on the internet and find one. So what I'll do is I'll go on Google and I will type in clock clip art, or whatever clip art that you want. And really, there's so many images that you can use. And we're just gonna kind of pick one that's simple, maybe that's even red. So let's just look for a second. You're gonna wanna right click and you can just copy it. And you're gonna control paste. Now you're gonna keep canvas the same size and it's gonna be massive. We're just gonna pull it down just like this until it is small enough to work with. Not like that, because our mama didn't teach us to do that. Sometimes you have to zoom out in order to just pull it all the way down. So we have our image, and that makes it look so cute, I think. And I'm just gonna pull it down and maybe turn it on its side a little bit. I might even put it up here. I'm just not sure yet. That space is empty though, so maybe we'll keep it down here. Now, a lot of the times you can also add a shadow behind the images that you import. So we're gonna hit Control Deselect, well, Control D, and we can duplicate this and go back up to our adjustments, brightness and contrast, and it already takes it down to black. It's obviously not the best black, but we will just add it. Yeah, there we go. Have to get the border of it. And we'll put it underneath, and then we'll go up to our effects, repeat our Gaussian blur, and it kind of just gives it a little bit of an edge, and maybe duplicate it once. And then we can click on our clock and merge our layers down so they are all one. So the next thing that I want to add to this is maybe a build, something big that like says that it's a 10-minute, what is it? It's a 10-minute build. 10-minute challenge, even. That would probably be a better option. I'm going to change the way that this looks just because I don't want it to be the same. So maybe we will do black with no outline, or maybe with a little bit of an outline. And then I will change the font, maybe something like that. Okay. And let's do completely red. We're going to need a sister second. Let's actually grab this color if we can. And we're going to dump that onto our clock. Okay, so I fixed our clock to match our font to match the rug. There's a lot going on here. We're going to put challenge down at the bottom, or build challenge. I'm not really sure. I just kind of want to keep it simple. So let's go up to our effects again, text formations, and let's just think for a second. Let's just write challenge out. And let's kind of see like what font we could do. I definitely don't want it outlined, and I definitely want it black. Or even white. I think probably white would be better. And we're just gonna do solid fill. So we're gonna pull that up, and let's just find a font we like. So this is the one that I had before we messed everything up. Now I am gonna have to do something behind it. Maybe even black. I hate to do that, but it needs something. Maybe that. Okay, so we're gonna click on our Move Selected Pixels key. And there you have it. It's nothing fancy. I don't make my thumbnails super fancy. Simple gets to the point a lot of the time, and I think that's where a lot of people go wrong with their thumbnails. Bold and big is what you want. So I'm gonna say this thumbnail's done. We're gonna Control Save it, and it'll save it in our whatever folder you want. I have a separate one for my paint.net things. And then you're going to want to hit File. You're going to want to hit, I can't even remember. File, Save As. You're going to want to change it to a JPEG. And I have mine saved in Finished Thumbnails. I'm going to name it 10-minute challenge. It's all about keeping yourself organized. And you're going to hit Save. It's going to come to this. You're going to hit OK. And you're going to flatten it because it's going to compress everything down. Now, if you want to make like another version because you're not sure if you like this version, you can just hit Control Undo, and that'll separate all of your layers again. And this is why I save one in paint.net format and one in JPEG. So it's not permanent. You can go back. The next thing that I want to go over is doing a cutout of your sim, which is so cool, so important, very detailed. So we're going to go back to our Adobe Photoshop, and we're going to import an image of our sim and cut her out. That sounds so dramatic. Let's just use this girl. So what I recommend for your thumbnails are, if you're going to cut out a sim, what I recommend if you're going to cut out a sim is to take it in a white background with the saucer lights on top. You want to have good white, bright lighting, because a lot of the time when people cut out their sims, they're very like dark toned, like not their skin, but like the image in general. So you're going to go over to the 3 lines, and your exposure is what really matters. And that's going to give you that white, bright. You're not going to want to go too bright on it. It depends on the color of your sim and everything, because this is going to be hard to cut out if it's too dark, if it's too disappeared, you know? So we're just going to pull it back maybe to like there. And you can do contrast as well. It really depends on the look that you're going for. And then I will sometimes give it vibrance, but it does depend because that gets a little yellowy if you do that. So we're going to save that image, and that's going to be saved in my edits just because there's already one that exists. Okay, we'll name it, whoops, it's hollering at me. We'll name it Tut for tutorial. So you're going to exit out of that, and we're going to go File, Open Recent, and we're going to do a JPEG, just any JPEG that already has our 1280 by 720. And we're going to open that image. These are my favorite to do, guys. Like, I love cutting out sims. It's just so easy. So you're going to zoom out on your little guy and you're going to want to go over here to your magic wand. Now, magic wand can get people like crazy. Like, people don't really know, like, they're scared of it. But basically, all you do is you click on whatever you want to disappear. Now, see how it kind of outlined it for us? It cuts into her face and her shoulder and her sweater. So you're going to want to change your tolerance up here. You're going to want to lower it. And do you see how that jumped? You're just going to want to lower it until it gets all the way out of that. Sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't. Sometimes you'll just have to do the best you can and then go in little by little, and we will go over that. So you're going to hit Control X, and that's going to take away our image. Same with over here. It's already set because our tolerance is good. Control X. And you're done. Now, sometimes you do have to go in and zoom in, and then you'll pull your bar over and say, like, let's just pretend her ear was not supposed to be there. It was supposed to be gone, but it stayed. You can still click on it and see how it kind of jumps around. You'll change your tolerance until you have that section, you know, say you want to get rid of that, and you hit the same thing, Control X. But obviously we don't want to cut out her ear. A big thing that you're going to have issues with also is when you want to get off of the selected text, you're going to, or the selected whatever, you're going to hit Control D, and that just takes everything away. So I made that sound really easy, but sometimes it's hard. You can add, union, subtract, and intersect. There's a bunch of different things, and those basically just make it so you can just like add more. You can also use your lasso, well, your eclipse, and that'll add more to it, but you have to be on add. Or if you want to subtract, then you can go here and kind of just subtract it little by little. It's really interesting to mess around with this tool. But once we have our cutout image, you can duplicate this layer and do what we did before. Make her, like, that was really creepy, make her completely black. And then we'll just fill in the edges, because sometimes it doesn't catch everything. Looks good. That looks really creepy. You're going to put it behind. And then you can go to your blurs, your Gaussian blur. Make sure it's on 13, and then just duplicate it. And if you want it to be super, if you want it to look like a line around her, there you go. If you only want a little bit, I go back and forth between using black behind her and white behind her. It just depends on what my sim looks like and the contrast between the backgrounds. So from here, say that I want to make her like not visible, you can do, there's so many different effects. You can distort her, and that will well, I guess you have to be on the right thing. Look at me trying to do a tutorial. You're gonna have to make sure you click on your sim. Distort, crystallize, and it'll like crystallize her. So if you're doing like a create a sim and you don't want her to be seen, you can just kind of go like that. There's so many different effects, and I'll let you guys mess around with those. I basically gave you the basics. Look at me being cool with my words. And you guys can kind of just do whatever, you know, mess around with your blurs, get artistic, do maybe an ink sketch. You know, I don't know. I don't know what your life is, but I hope that this tutorial helped you guys. There are a ton more things you can do with this program if you just Google them or look on YouTube. It is my favorite program, and I'm so happy to be able to give you guys a tutorial that will hopefully help you become a Simtuber. I look forward to seeing all of you guys next time. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Twitter at majestic_simmer. And as always, I will catch you guys on the flip side.